And okay. Hello, everybody. It's Monday. Once again, time for the SupportOur Creatives podcast. And today's guest is Tiara Williams. We've been working together for a long time. She's a CEO of The Real Network and Real Virtual, an actress, producer, and singer. And before we get started, Tiara, let me introduce myself. I'm Alan Greenstein, founder of SupportOur Creatives. The goal of my organization is to level the playing field for underrepresented demographics such that everybody has the same chance as everybody else to get their projects made and seen and distributed. I'm also on the board of directors of the Bella Levy Foundation. The goal of the Bella Levy Foundation is to fight human trafficking and provide a safe haven for its warriors. So happy to have Tiara here tonight, and we have some great questions for her. And so why don't you briefly introduce yourself, and we'll be on our way. Tiara, take it away.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood. I am a film and television producer. I am an actress and a singer. And I've been working with Alan Greenstein, and I'm so excited to be here tonight because I love Alan. I love his family. They have been so instrumental in my creative career, and I just love them very much. They're just great people. They have helped me produce things for quite some time. I want to say it's been over 10 years now for sure. So I'm just very grateful. So I'm just so grateful because, I remember when Alan, all of these things, a podcast and, a radio, just him being out on the forefront was just something that he wanted to do. So I'm so excited to share this moment with him and to even see that he's doing it and doing it regularly. Like, I'm so proud.
Yeah. Thank you, Tiara.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So why don't you tell the folks how we came to meet and start working together?
Yes.
You remember how that far back?
Maybe. I think the first time I was introduced to you was probably in like 2008 or 9. Is that
2009?
Right?
Yeah.
It was 09, right?
Yes, it was.
I happened to be working on a project, and I think you were also working as a producer on that project, and as an actress, I think Run This Town or something like that. And I just remember then afterwards we clicked online and we started to talk back and forth, and just have been literally like family ever since.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So so as I said, we started we got familiar with each other, started working together, and then you came up with a concept called The Real Network.
Yes.
And tell everybody what your goal was for the original incarnation of The Real Network, which was actually started around 2013.
Yes. So actually sometime around 2010, I was just in the middle of Hollywood, just trying to get obviously my foot in the door, talking to all the like really big agents and just all of that. And, just to really just be honest with you, I just saw a lot of people being taken advantage of in terms of like, needing to do certain things for opportunities. And, there's just all of these things, all this red tape. You had to know somebody, you had to just go all around. You just couldn't be just talented and then that be it. Right. So I had an idea to come up with a production company. I think Trinice and my best friend Trinice, who was on season 2 of American Idol, we started a production company that was first TNT squared, I want to say. And we produced this pilot, this comedic pilot for Fox. And so this is when I understood that like I could produce, if I'm just going back a little bit.
Yeah.
So after that, after like going to the bigger agencies and realizing like, okay, maybe if I have to play a game here, maybe I should start to create my own content. And so for a few years, I was like, from 2010 all the way to maybe 2012 at the end, November of 2012, I was just like, I really want to start this production company. I really want to start a production company, but I don't have any money. So I can't start a production company without money. But I think we launched like a GoFundMe, and I was then introduced to Dr. Boyce Watkins. Randomly, I think I hit him up on Facebook, and literally we've been friends ever since. But I was telling him that I saw an article that he had written, and I wanted to use him as a reference in the video. And I mentioned him because after that, he gave us an opportunity to for distribution. And so I was like, okay, what if we create a talk show? And then on the talk show, you distribute and we'll create it. And I think at the time I was like, but I don't have any money to make this. And he went along with it. But at the time, I remember not having enough to create those shows. And so I then approached you and was like, hey, do you want to produce with me? And you were like, yeah. I was like, you do, and I remember just being so grateful. And we were off to the races. We produced our first show together, which was called On the Real, with Tiara Williams. And we did that thing. We did it. And then we've been producing ever since.
Yeah. For those who don't know, can you go tell people who Boyce Watkins is?
Yes, Dr. Boyce is he is a scholar. I call him a celebrity scholar, but he is a finance professor. He has a school, the Black Business School, which he leads, and I think they have like over 500,000 students. So his goal in life is to introduce African Americans and really people around the world to finance and make it understandable and manageable in any way, just so you can be wealthy, and it's not like cracking this, intricate code. You can understand it, easily. So that is who Dr. Boyce is.
Okay. So you actually reached out to him, right?
I did.
Wow, that's something. That's great.
In 2012, I did. I reached out to him and was like, hey, and he gave us the opportunity, gave me the opportunity at the time to write articles, which I did. And also, and also create content. And they gave us the platform.
Yeah. And you also had your own studio at the time. Is that right?
It shortly came after that. So after a few years of kind of being on the grind, creating different content, because one of the other things that I didn't mention is I was coming from reality TV, and I had worked on, and I love reality, but at the time I was feeling kind of unfulfilled in it. Like I was, in a lot of reality TV, a lot of those it's first of all, it's not real. But then also, in addition to it not being real, I felt like people just wanted a platform for their gain. It wasn't like I was feeling like I was saving the world, right? With Housewives, right? I wasn't feeling fulfilled. And so the Real Network was also a part of that. And so when we started the Real Network in 2013, it kind of turned into something way bigger. In 2013, we also launched in June of 2013, the realnetwork.net, which was What's Real in Black Hollywood, which was, an online magazine. So along with the online magazine and creating different show concepts and, testing concepts, we were just, trying to see what stuck. But I think what you're saying is, and then in 2014, I moved into my own studio right there in North Hollywood, California. And then it became like way bigger, even bigger than what I thought it could be, right? So then we got into the office and we were working with different celebrities. We were on red carpets. We were just doing a little bit of everything. And at the time, I was working with a young man. His name was James Brown. and James Brown. And what James, what JB said was like, hey, why don't you create like a database? Why don't you like have talent come in the office and audition? And as we create shows, we readily have people to pull from. And at the time, my only interest in creating the Real Network in my head, Alan, I was like, I want to sell and produce TV shows. I want to produce TV shows. I want to write screenplays. I want to tell stories. That's what I was thinking. But once we, built a database out and we had actors come in, we started like classes and it just turned into something much bigger. And I was like, whoa, so yeah, we were in the office for 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. And yeah, you generated a lot of content during that time.
we
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
We
Can you give some examples of you mentioned on the reel, but what are some of the other things that you produced? What kind of programs were they?
Yeah, so we were doing on the real, we were doing Your Real World, which was like just a comedy spoof of me just because I love the news. Like I'm a journalist girl, right? I come from, but I also did stand up. So I used to just put those things together where, we would joke about the things happening in the world. So I did that. We created Raising a Black Scholar. We created that together. We created Resurrecting Black Wall Street. We created what else did we produce? I mean, tons of things. Like I worked with I think we came to DC and worked with NFYI, which is a foster institute that Mayor Karen Bass is the founder of. So we went to DC and we did that whole thing with Karen Bass and we created some content from that. I mean, we worked with Damon Dash, and I mean, there's just so many projects. And then from time to time, we would have celebrity interviews. So people would come into the office and interview. And so from Mario Van Peebles to Megan Good, like I said, Damon Dash, Dr. Boyce Watkins, you Troy Byers, who was an actress, and I think she dated Prince. And there was just all of these different people that used to come to the office, but that were amazing. So it turned into a whole thing.
Yeah. So basically, you had documentaries, interviews, stand up, all kinds of
Stand up.
stuff.
Oh, we did the comedy series. That's right. We did Illuminati Tried to Get Me. We did that. Yeah, we did. Oh my God. Oh my God. We were producing, and remember, so yeah, we've just been producing things and trying things for several years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
During that time, were you also trying to get into other people's projects, or were you just concentrating on your own projects?
Yeah, so I had hit a place where I kind of was trying to just do my own thing and put myself to work, right? Because I told you, like, there was so many politics to me in Hollywood about like how to get into what, and constantly going to auditions and feeling a little frustrated with that process. So I just felt like the answer to that was to keep creating. And so with Voice and him having this large audience of millions of people, we just kept cranking things out and trying shorts. You remember we were trying those short films. I think um uh we did some sketches with financial lovemaking. There was a time when I got into directing, like then I started to direct. So really what it did was having that relationship with you and with Dr. Boyce, and it really gave me this opening to start to develop myself as a director and as a producer and create different kinds of content. So it really was during that time when I was just kind of doing all those things. Now at the same time I was still writing screenplays. I was still, because I told you when I first got into the office of the Real Network, I was like, I want to sell content. I want to create shows. This is what, and I was still pitching those things to huge companies here. A lot of the studios, we were constantly pitching. We pitched to OWN in 2019, or 2020. We pitched to Fox. We pitched, we were constantly trying to get our content sold.
Yeah. Well, so
Yeah.
you're an indie player, trying to get generate your own content,
Mm-hmm.
and that by generating your own content, you could do it your way, and
Mm-hmm.
right, and
Yeah.
and seeing how you can get it out there.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So now, one of the things that was happening during that time is that you were traveling around and actually attending conferences, right? Stuff like that,
Right.
and having the opportunity to actually interview people. Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell us some of the thing about that, about some of the people who you interviewed.
Yeah. So at some point, with those relationships, I was able to, I sat on a panel with Dr. Cornel West and so many other esteemed scholars. I think I was the only one that did not have a PhD on the panel. I was like, what is going on here? But that was cool. So Dr. Cornel West, in 2013, I was able to interview Minister Louis Farrakhan, which was such an honor. So that happened. Um, God, I want to say those are my most famous. If I'm talking about famous, like famous and like OG kind of like interviews, those were.
Well,
Now I've
yeah,
done a lot of interviews. I mean, we're
yeah,
talking about.
those two they stick there. Well, those two particularly stick in my mind.
Yes, I was about to say. Now we can talk about like the artists and singers and all of that, but like those probably are my top tier interviews that I've done.
Yeah, I think that was. I mean, I think that was such a great accomplishment on your part to be able to, to interview the people who are known worldwide, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Let me plug. You know what? My charger came out, so I'm gonna take 1 second and just
Okay.
put the charger in because I don't want nothing. I don't want anything to die on us, and
Yeah.
then that would be bad. Hold on, 1 second, everyone. I'm supposed to have my life together, but sometimes production is like this. All right, and there we go, and we're back,
Good.
and we're back. Okay.
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 Yeah.
We're not.
So that was that. So that was all part of the original iteration of the real network, involved with just like say going around the country, um, getting people to know you,
Yeah.
interviewing people and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And then,
Excellent.
yes. And then, we started to do workshops around the country as well, Atlanta and Canada. And I went to Minneapolis and Pittsburgh and starting to teach people that you can create Hollywood wherever you are in that same kind of rebel spirit that I've had, you know, at the Real Network. Like, okay, well, you want to be an actress? Then sit down and write it. Just do it. Like you can. You don't have to wait for someone to come along and give it to you. You can take it.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Now, now, do you think that for being in Hollywood versus Atlanta or some of those other high places,
Mhm.
do you think one place has an advantage over another these days, for especially in the indie space?
Um, I think that LA, even though the business is really slow right now, I mean, it's still not 100%. And I don't know when it will be back completely. So I'll say that I think this is a great time for independent artists to really, really use resources. At this point, you can grab a camera, you can grab your iPhone 15 Pro and create content. Just learn how to edit and find your movies up on Tubi. At this point, you
Right.
really, really don't have to wait on anyone to do your thing. There's too many platforms that just allow you to have the freedom to bust in the industry in a different way.
Yes, yes. As a matter of fact, I'm familiar with some projects I've worked on. I have actually shown up on Tubi as an example.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
I think Tubi is a great alternative. It's owned by Fox, so it's not like it's bootleg, like right? It's not like it's just out of the blue, a random. You know, it's owned by a reputable company, right? They're just giving filmmakers. It's almost like YouTube of streaming. So I just think that that is a blessing for filmmakers who want to get in the business.
yeah. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So right now we're gonna stop for a a brief commercial break, and then we will be back.
Okay.
I'm Alan Greenstein, founder and producer at SupportOur Creatives. At SupportOur Creatives, I offer a number of services to support those developing a project. Check out the services tab of my website at supportourcreatives.com. If you are interested, please use the contact tab on my website or email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. Hey, and we're back.
I love it.
So, yeah. Okay, so we finally get into a point where it looks like you did a pivot.
Yeah.
You did a pivot, in relative to the look and feel of the Real Network.
Yeah.
And so explain what happened. What made you decide to go in, I guess, what we said, a different direction?
Yeah. So let me talk about the pivot before the pivot because I feel like in
Okay,
business
very good.
it's always important to pivot, right? Whenever because challenges will come, and I really want my creatives to understand that, like, challenges will come, and it's what you do in those moments. So in 2000, like I said, in 2018, I think the last reality show that I had worked on was RuPaul's Drag Race. And I had just received like this 40 under 40 award. And there was just all these things. And I was like, man, I feel like an imposter because I'm working I have this office and I'm working in reality TV, but I still feel unfulfilled a bit, So I was like, I haven't sold a screenplay like I wanted to. I haven't done it. Right. So I decided then to not work on any more shows. I decided then to leave reality TV, and I went and I dusted off some of my old scripts, and I was like, okay, all right, here's the plan. I'm going to, because in real life, I want to be like Donald Glover / Childish Gambino when I grow up. I just think he's had an amazing career. I love how he's able to just kind of do whatever he wants. And so I have those skills. So I'm like, I want to do that too. So anyway, I dusted off some of those screenplays, and I just hit now I have so many relationships with different people. I started to reach out and say, hey, can you think I can pitch some of my, some of these things I've been writing? What do you think? And I end up meeting with a mentor of mine. Her name is Lolita Files, and she has written screenplays. She's written books. She's a writer's writer, right? She's been writing books since the 90s, Lolita Files. And she invited me to her home, and I went to her house, I want to say at like 12 in the afternoon. And I was there till 3 a.m. And we talked about the business. We talked about writing. We talked about writing screenplays. I got to ask any question I wanted. And then at some point, she was like, okay, so, what you been writing? And immediately I pitched an idea. And she was like,
Wow.
she was like, that sounds really good. I was like, yeah, I got some good ideas. Right. So, no lie, Alan, the very next day, she had a meeting with a music executive. And at that meeting, the music executive says, I want to get into film and television. Do you have any music projects? And she said, no, but I think I'd have somebody that does. And that day I met the two of them in Hollywood, and I pitched the project that we ultimately end up selling to Universal. And so it was kind of amazing that it all kind of happened that way. But ever since then, I've been just kind of like on the grind, like still trying to sharpen those skills. I reached out to a very good friend of mine, Morris Chestnut, and was like, hey, you want to work together? And so I end up writing something for him after that. And like, I've just kind of since then, just been like, okay, all right. Like there's something else, so just kind of like making that, like I said, just making those dreams come true.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. You mentioned Morris Chestnut, makes me think of Love in the Nick of Time, which of course, that goes back even before we knew each other, right?
Way back.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we met. So we met in 2006 during a stage play. I was an actress. I was a production assistant. I had really just moved to Los Angeles. So that was my first opportunity in Hollywood, I would say, in that magnitude, right? So Yeah, like I met David Talbert. I was working for Tracy Edmonds as I was working as a temp in the lobby as a receptionist. And I remember every day, like celebrities used to come in there and I would ask all these questions. And so one day, David Talbert, well, actually the day before David Talbert walked in, Robert Townsend walked in. And I was like, Robert Townsend. I said, oh my God, and he was like, I really like you. I was like, I'm likable. Put me in a movie, He was like, well, where's your headshot? I was like, I don't have one. I was basically telling him, like, I was at work and Tracy Edmonds doesn't really, you don't want to be at the office like, here, take my headshot. But I remember that day he told me, he was like, well, where's your like acting books and where's your headshots? You want to always have that stuff on you as an actress. And so when I went home and I put my acting book, I still have that book to this day, my Uta Hagen book, I put it on in my bag. And then I also put my headshot in the bag. And the very next day, David Talbert walked in and was like, and I was reading my Uta Hagen book, The Power of an Actor. And he was like, oh, you're an actress. I said, yes, I am, you know? And after that, like, it was so funny because he had already, by the time he had already, I want to say like months later, he was going out on the road and he had already cast Trinice. He had already cast everyone. And because they had auditions and I missed the auditions. And so what ended up happening was I emailed him and was like, hey, Dave, I was sick when you had auditions. I really still want to read for the part of Portia, and which was Trinice's role. And he was like, okay, I'm going to have you come by. And I went and I sang and I read all of that. And so he ended up, I was technically everybody's understudy. And but he gave me a part in the play. But I was, anytime somebody got sick, then I would fill in for them. At that point, I could fill in for Morris Chestnut. I used to read lines backstage with him, and I'd be like, "Don't get sick," and then he would laugh. And so yeah, so it's been. I said all that to say that like the industry has been such an interesting experience, like just exciting. And sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's scary, sometimes it's it's all the things, but it's been pretty good. So you asked me, so bringing it back, when I reached out to Morris in 2020, yeah, I was just asking him if I was like, hey, I know you want to get into producing, I mean, what's up? And he was so gracious to entertain me and actually allow me to write something for him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So so the Real Network, the redesign of that.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
So the Real Network. You said the Real Network. I'm sorry. What?
The Real Network.
Yeah.
The Real Network doesn't look the way it looked originally. So this is like another iteration of the Real Network.
Oh yeah. So yeah, so I still have obviously the Real Network. It's still our production company. Anything that comes through the production company is we're gonna produce, right? That is where screenplays. It's my original concept. Like we do movies, we do documentaries, we do screenplays, we do all the things. But what ended up happening was, so the design has changed, but I just did an overhaul because in 2020, once the pandemic happened, it was just really hard to keep up with the demand of the Real Network, our clients, the site and all of the things. So I just decided then that we were just going to let the online magazine go. So we did. And so yeah, so that happened. And so you were asking about the last pivot, which is basically real virtual. So last year, the industry experienced a really tough strike, a writer strike, actor strike. It was pretty much the entire year. It was very hard on us all. I know people are still trying to bounce back. I know it just was rough, stressful, all of the things. And so in the middle of that, it's so crazy because last January, 6 months before the strike hit, I was like, or maybe like 3 or 4 months before the strike hit, I had this idea to take all of these things that I've learned in Hollywood in terms of branding, writing, marketing, producing, and gear it towards just entrepreneurs, right? And so then I wouldn't, because the industry can be fickle. And I was like, I don't want fickle income anymore. I want to make sure that we have something consistent. And so that was the idea that God gave me, and I was so busy that I couldn't move on it. Well, then the strike happened, and I was sitting around like, what am I going to do? What's about to happen? And so I just started to send out emails to clients and people, and a voice, and just all these different people. And I was like, hey, could you share this with your audience, that we have this virtual assistant business, that we have this creative side, but we also have administrative side. And my team that worked with me on the realnetwork.net, surprisingly, is my team that now works with me in Real Virtual. And so they were just like, yeah, let's do it. And so it's so I'm so gracious that I want to say in those first few weeks of us really like launching the business, I think I had like 4 clients. So, I was really grateful, like, okay, all right, okay, so that is what Real Virtual Assistants is. We are a virtual assistant company or platform that helps small businesses, uh, creatives, just helping them kind of figure it out, just using all these skills that I have and helping them use that to grow their businesses.
Oh, wow. Very
Yeah.
good. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, okay, but the Real Network as a website is still out there. So what distinguishes the Real Network from Real Virtual?
Well, Real Virtual is realvirtual.net. Obviously, if you're looking for a virtual assistant, if you need help with your business, you want ideas on side hustles. I mean, we're in an economy that is constantly changing. You want ideas, you need hands-on tasks done for your business. That's Real Virtual. If you want um, you want to make a movie, you want to write scripts, you want to um, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
okay. I got it. All right. So
Yeah,
the entertainment side of
in the
is
entertainment
still the Real
side,
Network.
you want to make
Yeah.
movies, yes. Then you would reach out to the realnetwork.net, and it's still up. Yes,
Oh, okay.
everything is
Okay. Very
still up.
good. Very.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Understood. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is it going well with your
Is
clients and
is
stuff?
is what?
Is it going well? Real Virtual? How is that? How's that
Yeah,
going?
yeah. I really appreciate. It's a lot less hectic than production.
Hmm.
It's a lot less hectic. It's fulfilling to be hands on and kind of like work with people daily. So that's cool. Helping them from ground zero, kind of build their podcast. I want to say at least 3 of my clients are building their personal podcasts, and so we've been just like instrumental. I've been pulled in to be people's co-hosts. Just all kinds of things happening. Um, so yeah, I would say yes, and a lot of that is just training, right? So there's clients that I'm like media training, and coaching them while also hopping on, like I said, their podcast. So it's been good. It's been fulfilling because I get to do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So that's realvirtual.net
Yes.
and the
.net.
realnetwork.net. Both
Mm-hmm.
of those the two links worth remembering.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. Now um are you currently producing any of your own works right now? Can you tell us about that?
Yes. Okay. So currently, I am producing an album. So I took a break from television and film. And like I said, when I got to Los Angeles, I really just wanted to be an actress and a singer. Like that was it. Like I don't know how I got pulled into all these other things, but I'm grateful that they happened. But I was a writer. I was like, school newspaper editor kind of gal, right? So I knew how to write, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna just be an actress and write. I was classically trained, so I could sing like opera music initially.
Wow.
And so in 2020, I want to say three, I kind of 23, 22, 22. I was like, I really want, I've always had this dream of creating, of making my own album and producing music and all of that. But I just never did it because I've been busy doing all these other things that we've been talking about for the last 35 minutes. And so I just decided that I didn't want to wait anymore and I wanted to produce music. So I called my good friend, Alan Greenstein, and was like, I gotta produce some stuff, and again, you were so gracious to extend, become, an executive producer on some of our visuals and all the things. So to answer your question, right at this moment, I am working on an album, an R&B album. But in order to create an R&B album, especially with a classical background, I had to go back to music school. So I enrolled in a music program. I think there's a piano or keyboard back there. Like I had to learn how chords and to play keys and go to theory and, learn music theory and just do the technical parts of music that I never had been exposed to, but that has definitely hands down made me a better musician. Um, I cannot wait to come back and share the music and introduce everyone to, our videos. So yeah, that is what's happening today. I'm about 60% finished with the album. I still have a few songs to record, but other than that, we are almost off to the races.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to bringing you back when
Yes.
when you have that video made or you're ready to sing for the public.
Yeah. I
It's going
mean,
to be really exciting.
yeah, I want to do all of that. I feel like I should come back and yeah, and just that should make it all about music. But
Yeah.
instead, today, I am having some sinus issues. I've been taking Mucinex and allergy medicine all day. So I don't know
Oh,
if y'all want
wow.
to hear that today. I don't know if
Oh,
y'all want to
okay.
hear all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But yes, but absolutely.
Yeah. Well, there's another example of a pivot.
Yeah.
You know, well, basically, in a sense, but this pivot, you were actually picking up on something that you had always wanted to do, and now you're making it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think what will end up happening, Alan, if I'm being honest, like I said, my whole goal in the next 24 months or so is to put it all together. And I have tons of decks here where I've written um project ideas where I've been the lead and been a singer and kind of like been creating show ideas around myself. And so that is the ultimate. I think just to create something that's really good, hopefully that we can sell, and I can still be the lead in it, because even the project that we sold to Universal, obviously I am not a celebrity, and that was one of the reasons why Universal wanted to pick the story up, was because the music executive that came on as the producer also went to like Megan Thee Stallion and Saweetie and all of these girls that obviously have a tremendous following. And it was like a meets hip hop meets um um Lady Gaga did a story. What's A Star Is Born. Sorry. A Star Is Born meets like hip hop. So
Oh,
I did like basically a version of The Star Is Born meets hip hop. And like I said, they wanted to bring in a rapper as the lead. And I was like, and we had a table read and they brought in Mario Van Peebles to be the director. It was like so amazing. Like so amazing. I had never been, I never sold a screenplay before. I didn't know how the process went, but I think I got special. I had a special experience with that, like, with the executive that I knew. Her and Mario Van Peebles had worked on New Jack City so many years ago. So she was able to bring him in as the director. I was like, this is mind blowing. So I've just been really blessed. My experiences have been so rich, and I'm so appreciative for that.
yes.
Mm.
So I'm so excited that you were following what you wanted to do for years, and now you're doing it.
Yes,
That
yes,
is so amazing. That's so amazing. I see people who are doing that. It's,
yes.
yeah,
I
yeah,
would imagine that would be inspirational for you even. I mean, some of the reason why you've kind of built support your creatives out is because you've been able to see people kind of go and be on set. And I know one of the loves that you've had is being on set and kind of just being in the environment. So like just having that, like watching creatives do that and saying like, man, I've always wanted to do X, Y, and Z. And then you being able to actually do X, Y, and Z through all of us. That's really
yeah.
cool. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Matter of fact, going back a few years, that was my ultimate goal at the time was to work on set.
Yeah.
So eventually, I got into that situation.
Yep.
Yeah, but then, no. Now the podcast is my big thing.
Yeah.
I've actually managed to overcome my fears in order to get to this point where I have this podcast with both video and audio.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of myself for having gotten to this particular point.
Me too. Me too. Cause I mean, I've been here. I know how you've been feeling about it. So that's what I'm saying. It's so cool to be here and be here for you and support you and as you supported me. So I'm so proud of you. And I want to keep saying that publicly because I'm
Yeah,
proud of
thank
you.
you,
Like
thank
it's
you.
amazing.
Yeah, and of course, it's always been a great pleasure working with you after
Same.
over all these years. More to come,
Same.
right? Yeah,
Huh?
more to come.
Yeah. More to
Yeah,
come.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Now, it's like a question, another topic. Tell us about Till Death, your recent, I guess you call it, mini docu series.
Mini docu. Yeah. So at the same time that I was writing Supreme is what the screenplay was called. I was writing Supreme. Um I also I want to say the day before COVID hit, I went to OWN and I was able to pitch this idea like, hey, what if we do this? I found six couples. I was living in Dallas, Texas, because I had taken a position down there temporarily. And so I moved to Dallas and I went to San Antonio in particular. And I was at my aunt's house, and my aunt had already been married for my aunt Veronica has been married for 41 years,
Hmm.
right? So there's that, right? And then I was like, okay. But then like her friends start coming over and everybody had been married for 30 plus years. And I was like, what in the world? And so I started asking questions. Like my producer brain was like, well, what's the secret? And so once we started having those conversations, I came back to Los Angeles. I mean, I went back to Dallas. And of course, I put like a deck together and was like, oh, this could be really cool. And I approached Boyce. I believe I approached Boyce and I approached you, I believe. But I was
Yeah,
but I approached approached Boyce and he said that he would come on as an executive producer. And when COVID hit, it was like it kind of made things a little difficult because um but also there was like this opening. But I don't think we were prepared for that. But anyway, we were shooting and editing and trying to do things so quickly. But we shot the show, like I said, six couples, San Antonio. um and they were wonderful. I mean, really just kind of giving us the game on how marriage works, and when you deal with hard things, how you get through them, and you know how you accept your partner, and how, like, all of the secrets. And so not only did we do a 6-part series, I put that together and made it one documentary as well. Like, so we have those six shows, but then we have one documentary as well. Just, and then we people view we viewed that, or we revealed that at we screened it at the All Black National Convention.
oh wow, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it
Well,
was
that was the oh, you screened the with the six episodes all together.
We did
Right.
the documentary, and then we did
Yeah.
that. I put it together for that reason, because obviously you
Yeah.
can't have people sit through six. So I put it together in a docu style, and people came, and it was well received. We did a Q&A afterwards. It was really great. It was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when it was first seen. I remember it was hosted by Boyce,
Yep. We did
and the individual episodes were shown, and then there was like a discussion with the couple, and
yeah.
you were there and everything. I remember that,
Yeah.
at that point.
Yep.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was really cool. Yeah, yeah, that was really cool. It felt really satisfying because like I said, a lot of the things that I was doing before we started the Real Network, it didn't feel, I mean, Big Brother was great, Survivor was great, or whatever other show I was working on. All those things were great, but it didn't feel like I was contributing in the way that I wanted to, if that makes sense. It's like I learned
yeah,
how to tell stories for sure.
right.
It trained me to be able to tell a story, but I didn't feel like I was telling the right stories.
But we saw what happened over the years. That you have gotten to tell your story in various ways now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I'm so appreciative. I don't want to sound like, sometimes I look up and I'm like, man, sometimes I'm like, as I've been making the album, I'll be honest, Alan, like I was like, man, I wish I'd have did this 10 years ago. But 10 years ago, I wasn't as great of a storyteller as I am today. So it's always like, it makes it much easier to write songs, which I found out when I went to music school that I had a knack for. And I was like, I don't even know if I'm going to be good at this. But of course, when we got in there, I was like, oh, and then put the bridge here. And then this is what I want this to say. It almost came to me, and I could see everything. And so it's been really a fun journey, really. All of it has been creative. And I'm so blessed that I get to do it every day. Every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people are going to really enjoy seeing all the results of your labor.
Yes.
Really,
Yeah.
I'm really excited about the singing part. That
Yes. Yeah, I know, right? It's gonna be good. It's
yeah,
gonna
that's
be
it's
so
gonna
good.
be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Right
so
now I'm just working out, y'all. I'm working out 6 days a week. I'm headed to the gym in about 45 minutes. I gotta get
yeah,
um, you gotta, as a visual, you gotta be, it's just part of it. So I've been trying to get it together, Alan.
yeah, and um, the way you mentioned you started out as a as actress and a singer, and now
Mm-hmm.
look where you are today. And I've seen that with a lot of the people that I work with. That they start up a particular way and then they grow, and
Yeah,
right, it's amazing. It's so good. I've got to see it happen with so many people that I've worked with. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yep. Oh, Tiara, come on back. Oh.
I'm so sorry. Can you hear me?
Okay, you're back. Good. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have another brief commercial now, and then we will be continuing. Okay. So
Yep.
here we go. Okay. So stand by.
Okay.
I'm Alan Greenstein, founder and producer at SupportOur Creatives. If you make something, albeit make a movie, start a business, write a book, make a physical product, run a nonprofit, promote people, are a songwriter, etc. You too are a creative, and I would love to have you be a guest on the SupportOur Creatives podcast. If you want to be featured on this podcast, please use the contact tab on my website at supportourcreatives.com or email me directly at alan@supportourcreatives.com. Okay, so let's Tiara, do you have anything else you want to talk about as we get close to closing out this great episode?
Well, I just wanted to encourage some of the creatives that's on. Um, I just wanted to remind them that it is a journey. Creating is a journey. Sometimes we feel like, sometimes being a creative and having so much creative energy inside of you not being able to get those things out all at once, or you feel like you want to do everything at the same time, or sometimes some creatives don't want to embrace business. They only want to be creatives. I've just seen all of these scenarios played out, and I just want to encourage someone today that may be feeling like, you know, that feeling discouraged or dismayed about their art. Just encouraging them and just letting them know that this is a journey. You're never too old. In my first acting class, when I was, I don't know, maybe like 14 years old, my my teacher said that you can act from the day that you are born to the day that you die. So I hear a lot of people saying like, oh, I want, you think about people like the Golden Girl, um,
Yeah.
people that, what's the Golden Girl's name? Rose. What was Rose's name?
Rosie, Rose, and
Rose
Blanche,
on
and
Golden Girls.
yeah,
Rose, right? So I'm blanking on her name, but just thinking about how she literally was working all the way until the day that she died. Is her their gate was right next to ours. Their lot was right next to ours when we were at Big Brother. And so sometimes I would see her come in and out and I'll be like, oh my God. But you really get to see people. So my point is, as long as you are alive, you can create. And as long as you are inspired, you can create. So that would just be my thought, just to keep going, keep creating, keep being great, keep finding your way.
yeah. And what's the best way of people reaching you?
I'm going to say social media, but let me just say Instagram is not my jam. You can follow me at Miss Black Hollywood, but I'm more of a Facebooker, so you can look me up at Tiara KJ Williams on Facebook, or follow me on Instagram and just say hey. If you say hey, I'll say hey back and follow you, and then I swear I'll comment on your stuff. But I'm not a big Instagrammer. I'm gonna
Uh,
get better.
okay. And once again, don't forget the
Yes,
realnetwork.net and
yes,
realvirtual.net.
correct.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, once again, it's been so great having you on,
Yeah,
and people learn a lot about you today, and we've whetted their appetite.
yeah,
We're gonna have you on again when you are, you know, when your music is ready to be revealed.
yes.
Yes, yes, and also like to thank all the people who have joined us today, like Randy and June and Crystal,
Hey, Randy.
and then who know, and other people that I can't, I'm not sure who's here.
Yes. Hey, y'all.
So it's great having it's great having everybody here, and of course, we'll be, by the way, this episode will be repurposed
Hmm.
and but she put up on streamers such as Spotify for those who didn't get to see the live episode.
For
So that's
sure.
coming up soon. So I'm gonna say good night, everybody, and
Thank you for having me
so
one
so
more
see.
time, Alan. Thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh yeah, oh definitely, my pleasure, and one of my long-term relationships with Tiara Williams.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So good night, everybody.
Bye.
Here's a message about Crystal Starnes, advocate for victims, and podcaster.
Are you an entrepreneur, actor, music artist, or someone trying to make a difference in the community, or have a story that could help someone suffering in silence? If your answer is yes, then you need to check out Crystal Starnes' various podcast shows that she produces and hosts. Come on one of her shows and make a difference. Promote your business on her platforms. Ask her about package deals to get your brand more noticed. Want a commercial about your business done by her voice? She also offers package deals for that service. You can find her at crystalstarnshow.com and voiceforvictimsradio.com. Also, if you want access to all her podcast shows and blogs, join her community awareness page for just $4.99 a month. That's right, just $4.99 a month. Then you would have access at a click of a button to her various platforms. Crystal Starnes is trying to make a difference for all people in the world. She wants to help as many people as she can so no one is suffering in silence. Anyone who has a vision and wants to achieve their dream, she has the passion to help promote you to get you to the next level of success.